Chapter 25. The Play of Death. Rama continued. He said, Time stands the foremost of all deceitful players in this world. He acts the double parts of creation and destruction, and of action and fate. The existence of time is known to us only through action and motion, which bind all beings. Fate is that which frustrates the acts of all created beings, like the heat of the sun serves to dissolve a snowpack. This wide world is the stage on which the giddy mob dances about in their appointed times. Time has a third name of a terrifying nature known as Kiranta, or fate, who in the form of a kapalika, or one holding human skulls in his hand, dances about in the world. This dancing and loving Krintanta is accompanied by his consort called Destiny, to whom he is greatly attached. Time, as Shiva, wears on his bosom of the world the triple white and holy thread composed of the serpent named Ananta, or infinite, and the Ganges river, and on his forehead the digit of the moon, that is, the zodiacal belt, the Milky Way, and the lunar astrological divisions and phases. The sun and the moon are the golden armlets of time, who hold the mundane world in his palm like the paltry plaything of a flower bouquet. The sky with its stars appear like a garment with colored spots. The clouds called Pushkara and Avarta are like the skirts of that garment washed by time in the waters of the universal deluge. Before him, his beloved Destiny with all her arts forever dances to beguile the living, who are fond of worldly enjoyments. People hurry up and down to witness the dance of Destiny, whose unrestrained motion keeps them at work and causes their repeated births and deaths. People of all worlds are studded like ornaments about her person, and the sky stretching from the heaven of gods to the infernal regions serves for the veil on her head. Her feet are planted in the infernal regions, and the hell pits ring at her feet like trinkets, tied by the string of evil deeds and sins. The god Chitragupta has painted her from head to foot with ornamental marks prepared by her attendants, and perfumed with the essence of those deeds. She dances and reels at the nod of her husband at the end of the kalpas, and makes the mountains crack and crash at her footfalls. Behind her dance the peacocks of the god Kumara, or Subramanian, and Kala, the god of death, staring with his 3 wide open eyes, utters his hideous cries of destruction. Death dances about in the form of the 5-headed Hara, or the destroyer Shiva. With the loosened braids of hair upon him, while destiny in the form of Gauri, Shiva's consort, her locks adorned with mandara flowers, keeps her pace with him. In her war dance, this destiny bears a large gourd representing her big belly, and her body is adorned with hundreds of hollow human skulls, jingling like the arm pots of Kapali mendicants. She has filled the sky with the emaciated skeleton of her body and her terrible destructive figure. The various shapes of skulls of the dead adorn her body like a beautiful garland of lotuses. They sway to and fro during her dance at the end of a kalpa age. The horrible roaring of the giddy clouds, Pushkara and Avarta, at the end of the kalpa serves to represent the beating of her Damaru drum, and puts to flight the heavenly choir of Tumburu. As death dances along, the moon appears like his earring, and the moonbeams and stars appear like his crest, made of peacock feathers. The snow-capped Himalayas appear like a crown of bones in the upper loop of his right ear, and Mount Meru as a golden ring in his left. Under their lobes are suspended the moon and the sun, like pendant earrings glittering over his cheeks. The mountain ranges called the Loka Loka are fastened like chains around his waist. Lightning bolts are the bracelets and armlets of destiny, which move to and fro as she dances along. The clouds are her dressing gown that fly about her in the air. Death is furnished with many weapons, like clubs, axes, missiles, spears, shovels, mallets, and sharp swords, all of which are weapons of destruction. Mundane enjoyments are no other than long ropes dropped down by the hand of death that keep all mankind fast bound to the world. He wears the great thread of infinity, or Ananta, as his wreath of flowers. Death wears the 7 oceans as bracelets resplendent with the living sea animals and the bright gems contained in their depths. The great vortices of customs, the succession of joy and grief, the excess of pride and the darkness of passions form the streaks of hair on his body. After the end of the world, he ceases to dance and creates anew all things, from the lowest animal that lives in the earth to the highest Brahma and Shiva. By turns, destiny as an actress acts her parts of creation and destruction, diversified by scenes of old age, sorrow, and misery. Time repeatedly creates the worlds and their woods with the different abodes and localities teeming with population. He forms the movable and immovable substances, establishes customs, and again dissolves them as children make their dolls of clay and break them soon afterward. Chapter 26. The Acts of Destiny. Rama said, "Such being the all-destructive conduct of time and others, what confidence, O great sage, can men like me have in them? We all remain here as slaves sold to fate and destiny, and we are deceived by their allurements as beasts of the forest. This fate, whose conduct is so very inhuman, is over-eager to devour all beings. He is constantly throwing men into the sea of troubles. He is moved by his malicious attempts to inflame minds with excessive desires, as the fire raises its flames to burn down a house. Destiny, the faithful and obedient wife of fate, is naturally fickle on account of her being a female. She is always bent on mischief and disturbing patience. As the heinous serpent feeds upon the air, so does cruel death ever swallow the living. He ripens the body with old age to create his rest, and then devours all animals warm with life. Death is called a relentless tyrant, having no pity even for the sick and weak, nor any regard for anyone in any state of life. Everyone in this world is fond of affluence and pleasures, not knowing that these are only calculated to lead him to his ruin. Life is very unsteady, death is very cruel, youth is very frail and fickle, and boyhood is full of dullness and unconsciousness. Man is defiled by his worldliness, his friends are ties to the world, his enjoyments are the greatest of his diseases in life, and his greed and ambition are his ever alluring the mirage. Our very senses are our enemies, before which even truth appears as falsehood. The mind is the enemy of the mind, and self is the enemy of self. Self-esteem is stained, intelligence is blamed for its deception. Our actions are attended with bad results, and our pleasures tend only to effeminacy. All our desires are directed to enjoyments. Our love of truth is lost. Our women are the symbols of vice, and all that was once so sweet has become tasteless and vapid. Things that are not real are believed as real. They have become the cause of our pride by hardening us in untruth and keeping us from the light of truth. My mind is at a loss to think what to do. It regrets its increased appetite for pleasure and for its lack of self-denial. My sight is dimmed by the dust of sensuality. The darkness of self-esteem prevails over me. I am never able to reach purity of mind, and truth is far away from me. Life has become uncertain, and death is always advancing near. My patience is disturbed, and there is an increased appetite for whatever is false. The mind is soiled by dullness, and the body is filled with overindulgence, and in caring, and it's ready to fall. Old age exults over the body, and sins are conspicuous at every step. Youth flies fast away despite all our care to preserve it. The company of the good is at a distance. The light of truth shines from nowhere, and I can have recourse to nothing in this world. The mind is stupefied within itself, and its contentment has fled. There is no rise of enlightened sentiments in it, and meanness makes the mind's advance to enlightened sentiments only more distant. Patience is converted into impatience. Man is subject to the states of birth and death. Good company is rare, but bad company is always within everyone's reach. O sage, all individual existence are liable to appear and disappear. All desires are chains to the world, and all worldly beings are constantly seen to be led away to where, necessarily, no one can tell. What reliance can there be on human life when the points of the compass become indistinct and indiscernible, when countries and places change their positions and names, and when even mountains are liable to be dilapidated? What reliance can there be on man when the heavens are swallowed in infinity, when this world is absorbed in nothingness and the very earth loses her stability? What reliance can there be on men like ourselves, when the very seas are liable to be dried up, when the stars are doomed to fade away and disappear, and when the most perfect of beings are liable to dissolution? What reliance can there be on men like us, when even the demigods are liable to destruction, when the polar star is known to change its place, and when the immortal gods are doomed to mortality? What reliance can there be on men like us, when Indra is doomed to be defeated by demons, when even death is hindered from his aim, and when air currents cease to move? What reliance can there be on men like us, when the very moon is to vanish with the sky, when the very sun is to be split into pieces, and when fire itself is to become frigid and cold? What reliance can there be on men like us, when the very gods Hari and Brahma are to be absorbed into the Great One, and when Shiva himself is to be no more? What reliance can there be on men like us, when the duration of time comes to be counted, when destiny is destined to be her final destiny, and when all emptiness loses itself in infinity? That which is inaudible, unspeakable, invisible, and unknowable in his real form displays to us these wonderful worlds by some fallacy. No one conscious of himself can disown his subjection to that being that dwells in the hearts of everyone. This Sun, the Lord of the worlds, is compelled to run over hills, rocks, and fields, like an inert piece of stone hurled down from a mountain and carried away by a current stream. This earth, the seat of all the suras and asuras, and surrounded by a luminous sphere like a walnut is covered by its hard shell, exists under his command. The gods in the heavens, the men on earth, and the serpents in the nether world are brought into existence and let to decay by his will only. Kamadeva, who is arbitrarily powerful and has forcibly overpowered the entire living world, derives his unconquerable might from the Lord of Worlds. As the heated elephant regales the air with his spirituous flowing, so does the spring perfume the air with his profusion of flowers, unsettling the minds of men. So are the loose glances of loving maidens directed to inflict deep wounds in the heart of man, which has best efforts are unable to heal. Only whose best behavior is always to do good to others, and who feels for others' sorrows, is really intelligent and happy under the influence of his cool judgment. Who can count the number of beings resembling the waves of the ocean, and on whom death has been darting the undersea fire of destruction? All mankind is deluded to entrap themselves in the snare of greed and be afflicted with all evils in life, as the deer entangled in the thickets of a jungle. The duration of human life in this world is being decreased in each generation in proportion to the increase of wicked acts. The desire of pleasure is as vain as the expectation of reaping fruit from a vine growing in the sky. Yet I know not why men of reason would not understand this truth. This is a day of festivity, a season of joy, and a time of procession. Here are our friends, here are the pleasures, and here are a variety of our entertainments. Thus do men of vacant minds amuse themselves with weaving the web of their desires until they become extinct.